Hi, I'm Neil Stubbings and I'm the creator of this year's Season's Greetings animation called Late Shift. I wanted to give you a quick behind the scenes tour on how this 1-minute cartoon has been done. So let's jump right in. For the basic movement along the road, I just use an align to spline tag to get the car to move from one end to another. For the fun part of the animation, I use a series of nulls for the up and down and left to right motion. I guess you could call this a rig, but it's a very simple form of rig, which is enough for the few shots in which the car is driving. I animated the characters on 2s to give it a classic 2D animation feel. On 2s means that you animate only every other frame, or to put it differently, you animate 12 frames per second instead of 24. The only shot which is animated on 1s, or in 24 frames per second, is the shot where the elves carry the package to the door. This shot would have been too jerky if it would have been animated on 2s. The characters are based on a sort of marionette style design. This makes them easy to rig and much easier to skin. The most difficult part to weigh on a character is usually around the shoulders and around the pelvis. So if you use all the weight in the weight manager, you initially get some very unnatural deformations around the armpit and around the pelvis. When using a marionette style design, you have the legs and arms extend into the body as a separate geometry. That way you can just all the way the joints to the specific limb, and you don't have to worry about the transition to the body joints where you might get these horrific deformations. For the basic landscape, I started with a highly subdivided plane and added a displacement deformer with some noise. This doesn't look very interesting yet, so I made the current state to an object and used the brush tool from the mesh menu to push the vertices to a more interesting shape. You could also use the sculpting tools to add more interest and variation. The mountains in the back are done with the Cinema 4D landscape object. The landscape object by itself is not really interesting and a little bit bland, but a simple FFD deformer can work wonders here. Speaking of FFDs, the landscape in the second shot is made up mostly of the same landscape element. I just use FFDs to get some variation in the shape. I wanted to give the movie a very classic hand-painted look and feel. The textures aren't hand-painted though. They're procedural shaders which are predominantly made of Cinema 4D's fantastic set of noises. With some tinkering and layering different noises on top of each other, you can get a really nice texture that looks painted. The snow shader took quite some tinkering though, and I ended up adjusting the shader for almost every shot, because it always looked different depending on the light setup and scale of the scene. That's it from me. Be sure to check out my other work on my website and follow me on social media. Happy holidays everybody and Happy New Year!